On the last episode of The Truth About High-Speed 1, I'm so excited that we finally built a fixed link to mainland Europe. Can you believe we just built the longest underwater tunnel in the world? But is anyone else starting to notice a bottleneck forming on tracks into London?
That's why we told France and Belgium that we would build a direct high-speed line to London. Railtrack will get on that project pretty soon.
Right. Bottom line is, I have a lot on my plate, and I'm not getting enough government support for it all.
You don't get to back out of this one Railtrack. You need to sort this out.
Right, but it is like £2.5 billion. Where am I supposed to get that money?
Figure it out.
You were taken too soon from us, brother. Yeah, so Railtrack freaking died. Introducing Network Rail. Network Rail Limited purchased Railtrack PLC from the Railtrack Group PLC for £500 million. Railtrack PLC was then renamed to Network Rail Infrastructure Limited. In other words, Railtrack wasn't actually dead, it just faked its death so that people could forget what happened. The new government-owned company created, Network Rail agreed to pay LCR £80 million for the right to operate and maintain High-Speed 1. Just less than a year later, Section 1 of the Channel Tunnel Rail Link was completed. After decades of intense engineering, construction, and political setbacks, Section 2 of the Channel Tunnel Rail Link project opened up on November 14th, 2007. Welcome to episode 4 of High-Speed 1. Thanks for 4,000 subs.
Please exit through the rear door.
Doors open. As I said in my previous videos, Eurostar trains were already using Section 1 of the Channel Tunnel Rail Link before switching on to the classic lines to get into London. With Section 2 being completed, journey times from Kent to London were cut down by 20 minutes, and journey times from London to Paris were cut down by a further 24 minutes. With the first Eurostar train running into St. Pancras station on March 6, 2007. The first station we need to talk about is Ebbsfleet International Railway Station. Ebbsfleet International Station opened up to the public on November 19, 2007, and became Eurostar's main station in Kent. It should be noted that Eurostar has not served this station since 2020, and service will most likely not return until 2025. 2 of the platforms at Ebbsfleet International Station are designated for international passenger trains, and 4 for high-speed domestic services. Now some of you might be saying, well, that means there are 6 platforms. I only see 4. The other 2 domestic high-speed rail platforms are located on a curve connecting to the North Kent line. This allows high-speed southeastern Javelin services to continue on the North Kent line as seen here. Alright, let's start our journey. I'll give a little horn.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey!
Today we're going to be driving the British Rail Class 395, also known as the Javelin. The Javelin is a dual-voltage electric multiple unit passenger train built by Hitachi Rail and operated by Southeastern. The Class 395 can operate at a maximum speed of 140 miles per hour or 225 kilometers per hour under 25 kilovolt alternating current overhead electrification on High-Speed 1 and 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour on 750 volt direct current third rail supply. The train we're driving today is a 6-car unit with a capacity of 352 people. Class 395s could be coupled together to make a 12-car unit to double capacity during rush hour. It's 11 AM right now and we're driving into London, so that's not really needed. Right now we're about to enter the 2.5 kilometer or 1.6 mile long tunnel that dives under the River Thames. Just so you know, I'm selling limited edition t-shirts to celebrate all of you guys who were subscribed before 5,000 subs, but I only have 50 of them. Well, 49 because I'm keeping one. So I only have 49, well actually some people already bought some, so bottom line is they're gonna run out. And you definitely don't want to miss out on these, as these will mark the true history of this channel. The link to the shop is in the description in this card up here, and I just realized that I'm not driving with headlights on. Okay. What? I always have my headlights on. What are you? What are you talking? What are you? Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, the fun fact. Fun fact. The Class 395 was the first Hitachi-built rail vehicle to be sold to a European customer, as well as being the first British order of a Japanese train. The fleet was ordered in June 2005. And the first trains were delivered to the UK in August 2007. The last cars will be delivered in August 2009, with full service starting on December 13th, 2009. Between 2007 and 2009, trains were rigorously tested, with one Class 395 reaching 150 miles per hour. The contract for these trains were valued at £250 million. Originally, only 28 trains were to be built, but ultimately an additional 29th train would be added in order to provide additional capacity. Overall, these trains were pretty great. Southeastern applauded it for its high rate of acceleration over the conventional rolling stock, and riders applauded it for its lower noise levels. Upon its introduction, the Javelin actually increased passenger numbers in Kent. Unfortunately, people not using the high-speed service, people who use the normal conventional trains, complained that the high-speed services were actually making the conventional rail service schedules slower. To them, it seemed like rail in Kent was being sacrificed for faster rail to London. This is because, as I said before, the Javelin service actually goes onto conventional rail when it's not running on high-speed 1. Now there could be a multitude of reasons why the conventional rail service time slowed down. Let's remember, the Javelin at the time, was a completely new service. It's completely plausible that the added new service overloaded the capacity for the conventional rail lines. It added 2 trains per hour in both directions definitely can have an effect on a double track rail line. These are some of my minor concerns with High Speed 2, but we'll cross that railroad when we get there. Either way, service punctuality was around 92.6%, which leads me to believe that there was actually just a lot of service padding. Right now, if you look to our right, we're running along the London, Tilbury, and Southend line. Running alongside existing infrastructure, especially rail infrastructure, is a very good way to keep costs down. This is a great time to plug my Patreon. Subscribe to my Patreon or become a YouTube member to get your avatar drawn by me. It could be an avatar of you, your cat, or even your favorite Pokemon. Patreon should be available in this card display up here in the right hand corner. So what are you waiting for? Join the over 50 Patreon members today. Alright, so we're about to dive down into a 12-mile long tunnel. This section of the tunnel is a London West section. The tunnel is split into two sections because of Stratford International Station, which is present right in the middle of the 12-mile section. Stratford International is pretty interesting. Despite the word international being in the name, the station actually doesn't have any international services. From the time it opened in 2009, no Eurostar trains have ever stopped here. The initial idea was to have Stratford International act as a London station for Eurostar trains that bypass St. Pancras. Now you may be wondering, why would Eurostar trains bypass St. Pancras? The reason is because Eurostar trains were supposed to continue to other destinations north of London. However, the idea of high-speed Eurostar trains continuing north of London, also known as the regional Eurostar, never really went anywhere, which is kind of a bummer since they actually built 7 shorter 14-coach Eurostars for the service. What happened to these 7 Eurostar train sets, you ask? Oh, nothing. They were put into storage and are sometimes used when there are equipment shortages on some railroads, but overall a nice waste of 180 million pounds. To be fair, the infrastructure on the conventional main lines north of London weren't really able to handle these train sets in the first place. One of the main problems with these train sets was the loading gauge. It turns out that the Class 373s weren't that ideal for north of London travel. Due to the intense loading gauge restrictions, Class 373s were limited to 110 miles per hour instead of 125 miles per hour, and this created longer than desired journey times. But thankfully, all this is going to be fixed with High Speed 2. With High Speed 2, Eurostar trains will finally be able to go from High Speed 1 to High Speed 2 and then service locations north of London. Oh right, we're not doing that, I forgot. So they decided to axe the connection between High Speed 1 and High Speed 2. So there's no connection at all, which is just silly. It's silly. I mean, the project requires some extensive upgrades to the London Overground and some expensive tunnel portals, right? But that's it. It's actually a pretty easy to do project when we talk about the grand scheme of what we're actually trying to create here. You know what I'm saying? And the actual benefits that international connections to northern Great Britain would create, it's 100% worth it. It's 100% worth it. I mean, overall, there's probably some other political motives behind it. You know, I know there's this whole thing about border security and we have to protect our borders and so many people want to come to the UK. Like, yeah, right. I mean, the UK needs more immigrants. I mean, have you seen British food? Oh, here go the British people in my comment section.
Lad, are you dumb? Are you getting rude to man? What? That's what you get, fam.
But all jokes aside, I don't really think that the border situation is that big of a deal. I mean, you're building brand new stations for High Speed 2, right? So you think you could put a customs area, right? A customs area for people traveling outside of the country. You think that that would be pretty easy to implement. I mean, I can understand older stations, but brand new stations, can that even be a valid excuse anymore? I think this definitely goes to the larger problem with how the UK is trying to be like a half-baked US now. You know, the whole Brexit deal. I'm just gonna keep it as that. All I'm saying is, maybe don't copy the US when it comes to transportation, or education, or healthcare, or policing. Don't, you know, stay in your own lane. Alright, so we're now finally at Stratford International Station. This station has a similar layout to Ebbsfleet. The station actually saw a lot of action back in 2012, 12 years ago, when London hosted the Olympics. During the Olympics, Southeastern operated 8 trains per hour over High Speed 1. These trains were called the Olympic Javelin services, which was later shortened to just Javelin. The name stuck, and that's how we got to the current Javelin name that we have today. Alright, I'm a little bit late, just a little bit though, because I've been yapping. You can see we're supposed to be departing in like 10 seconds. That's not happening. The Stratford area has a lot of connections. So there's the North London line, the West Anglia Main Line, the Great Eastern Main Line, the Elizabeth Line, the Central Line, and 2 DLR lines. And this single-track incline viaduct that you see right here allows out-of-service trains to reach the Temple Mills Depot. I just think it's interesting how it just splits down the middle of the station. I mean, this station is pretty unique. I've seen a lot of rail fan videos of Eurostar trains just flying past this station. Okay. I don't know. This is like a weird glitch that happens. I don't know, like they just step out and then they just stand there sometimes. Very strange. Very strange. Alright, let's get going. Horn. Release the brakes. Power. Alright, so now we're entering London West Tunnel. Majority of this tunnel is under the North London line, and let me just say this, there were a lot of plans for this section. Some plans call for High-Speed 1 to run directly on the North London line, but one of the largest issues found was a lack of capacity on the line. It turns out when you have like 5-minute headways on the London Overground, there's not really that much space in the time slot to slide your high-speed rail trains in. And the line couldn't simply be widened to have more tracks, right? Because it's London. There's not enough space. So a tunnel was chosen instead. And yes, this added to the costs. It certainly did. You know, these are large twin board tunnels. But overall, it led to a way faster and more reliable journey. I mean, you don't really want your high-speed rail trains to get stuck behind your regional rail trains, do you? I mean, like, what do you think this is, the Acela? Oh yeah, that reminds me, speaking of tunnels, there was an issue with the Class 395s, specifically when going into tunnels. When service initially started, in tunnels, passengers complained about the amount of wobbling the train would do inside the tunnels. Southeastern would later fix this with dampeners on the train in order to mitigate the wobbling, but overall it wasn't anything super serious. Alright, so I gotta slow down here. The next stop is going to be St. Pancras. This will be our final stop, as it's the terminus for all High-Speed 1 services, which again, I think a lot of people would agree with me that it shouldn't be, but London St. Pancras International. That's such a flex, by the way. International at the end of a station, like at the end of a railway station, such a flex. I wish we did that in the US. Could you imagine? New York, Pennsylvania Railroad International Station, because of Canada. I don't know. I'm not really rocking with it. Anyways, the terminus opened up on October 1st, 1868 for the Midland Railway, and after about 120 years in service, by the time it got to the 1980s, it was later slowly abandoned due to its redundancy. British Railways wanted to demolish the station, but keep in mind this was less than 20 years after the original New York Penn Station got torn down, so tearing down massive railway stations around the world at this point in time was kind of a big no-no. I mean, there were people from all over the UK who were opposed to tearing down this station, and rightfully so. I mean, the architecture for this station, which we'll see in a little bit, is absolutely beautiful. The original plan was to have an underground station under the King's Cross station, but the plans were later changed in the name of urban regeneration, also known as gentrification. And this change caused a lot of problems because originally High-Speed 1 was supposed to approach London from the south, but now because of the change of terminus to St. Pancras, the line had to approach from the east, which, I mean, I like the fact that they're using the existing terminal because, you know, it's beautiful and it should be used as a railway terminal, right? But it makes me wonder how different things would have been if they would have used the original idea of having the underground terminal under the London King's Cross station. Alright, so we're now exiting the tunnel. The North London line would be directly to our right. Alright, so right here is just about where the connection for High Speed 2 would be. The line would continue over this viaduct right here, and then connect to the North London line, and from the North London line, go into a tunnel portal to connect to High Speed 2. Alright, so now entering the station. And we're here. Not sure why people are boarding. We're not going anywhere. This is the last stop. Let's see some of the stats. Alright, not bad. I had to start all the way from Ashford because, yeah, I drove it all the way up from here. And then I started recording. So, yeah, that's why it looks like this. If you couldn't tell already, all this section, this whole entire section right here was added on later. This is all part of the 2007 rebuild of St. Pancras. Obviously not from 1868 or whatever. Behind this gate is where the Eurostar platforms would be. I mean, they're there, but there's just no Eurostar trains. And then this section right here, all the way to the right, is where the Midland trains would terminate. Hence the reason they have shorter platforms, the same way as the Southeastern trains. These middle platforms are for the Eurostars because they are extremely long. This is what the original terminus looked like. Very nice. Looks like some of the stuff isn't modeled, but it's okay though. I mean, it looks like we're missing a couple stairs, but you know, that's okay. Let's see if I can go outside. Show you. Oh. Yeah. Nah. Okay. Well, at least yeah. So outside, this is what that looks like. Very, very nice. Very nice. Oh, there goes London King's Cross over there. I don't think they were expecting me to see that. Or And yeah, this wouldn't matter. Anyways, if I earned your like and subscription, I love you. And if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in 1,000 subs for another UK series. I'm pretty sure down here is the Thames Link. Well, actually, I can guarantee you that it was not modeled in the simulation. Doors open.